Is that smooth or what? So this was a win. The king of my property, without a doubt, is a John Deere 3046R. Long neglected the fuel filters, but I'm really at the point where they should be changed. It's about 200 hours on the tractor. So I'm gonna change both fuel filters, change the oil, of course the oil filter and the air filter, engine air filter. Filters are over there. Right now I gotta get this. Right now I have to get the razor, see if I can squeeze it in next to the Ferris mower and get the garage organized for servicing the king of the property, the John Deere 3046R. Marauders, welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Let's rearrange this stuff. It's always a treat turning the key on this machine. Well, I was wondering if I could fit my car in the garage also with this machine in here. I think the answer in this parking position is a definite no. But hopefully I can get the tractor in here and work on that. My wife is amazing and understanding. There she is. She hasn't started. I call her she, although I also refer to it as a king. It hasn't started in over 2 months. It's been parked here. And fairly clean, isn't it? Thought that tire was flat, sitting in the mud. Boy, she's sitting low in these ruts. Gotta love this. Really have to love the Yanmar engine. Battery's in good shape. The air seat is low. Seems to have a slow leak and it always runs out of air. We'll fill up the seat and let it idle for a bit. Okay, I think you got a good view here. I have not found one video on how to change the fuel filters on this particular tractor. So we'll give it our best shot here. This is the fuel flow. It's in the on position up here. I'm going to turn that to off. Then we're going to drain the fuel. I have a feeling this isn't going to be too easy. I do have, I think they're called pig mats for changing oil. This drain is right above. Well, let me try moving the wheel. Well, that seemed to work. I ran the engine to move the hydraulic steering out of the way and the tie rod arm out of the way. Okay, so now we can hopefully drain the fuel into the bucket and not hit anything. So let's spin this. That's to tighten. Let's open this up. The fuel is off. Now it says to spin this counterclockwise. This looks like just a pressure ring that holds the fuel filter up into the fuel filter housing. Fuel filter doesn't look too bad. So that's that. I'm going to wipe this out. So let's compare the new and the old fuel filter. I don't know if that tells us anything. I don't think that this filter is excessively dirty. But it tells me it did its job. There's a little dirt down on the bottom, if you can see it. A little discoloring, it's darker. So it is filtering, and all that's good. So I put the drain plug back in, the fuel bowl assembly. That's back in, so I don't have to tighten it when it's on. The filter goes in. Remember this little spacer piece, what a pressure piece, goes in the bottom. And this filter, one way it goes on is that goes up into the filter housing. This end does not. So we'll put the filter up into the housing. And I'm going to turn it clockwise. Let's turn it counterclockwise to get the thread started. I'm going to leave the fuel valve off until I change the second fuel filter. Okay, nothing is ever, went through 2-3 filter wrenches to get the right one. 40 years of collecting tools. Okay, and I'm putting the pig blanket up here. I have the bucket underneath, if you can see it. The bucket's underneath, and we're gonna pull this fuel filter off. Fuel valves are shut off. Trying to give you a good angle, but that might not be you looking at my arm. Boy, this was put on awfully tight. You know, they tell you to put these things on finger tight, and then you get one. It seems like the factory stuff is put on by King Kong. And she's off, not fun. There are so many hoses in this area, and I think I can get the pig's blanket out. Maybe I can't. And then I'm going to turn the fuel filter, this fuel valve back on. So that's on. Because I'm going to prime it, then start it, then let it warm up. I'm going to change the engine oil. You can see the engine oil was changed September 21st, 2019. Now that's 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago. But I believe the machine has 206 hours on it now. It was 86 hours ago. So didn't put a tremendous amount of hours on since the last oil change, but it's enough to change it. It's starting to look like it needs to be changed. This is the fuel pump. You'll hear it rattle much louder than it's rattling right now to fill up the fuel pump, and you'll feel the fuel bowl here, and you'll hear it filling up the fuel filter, spin-on fuel filter here. You'll hear that filling up with fuel, and also you'll hear the fuel gurgling in the tank. A lot of noises for the tank. Sorry I didn't get that on video. Actually, it was pretty neat. So this filled up, I would say, in a minute or less. The pump made a lot of noise, and it's still vibrating, and then this fuel filter filled up rather quickly. And I'm gonna put the date on that when I'm done. Now I'm gonna change the engine air filter. Wild about how it's done. And there's a blind clamp around this corner. Not wild about that procedure. So there's 2 clamps on either side, and they are tough to get at. So this is the inner air filter that goes inside. I'll show you. This inner air filter goes inside the air filter housing. And the larger air filter goes around it. In this, and man, you know my yard was dusty last summer. You can see the difference. You can see the difference between the new air filter and the old air filter. I've blown this air filter out at least twice. You can see how dirty it is, and I'm not putting it back in the machine. That is garbage. But this inner air filter, man, looks like it's brand new. So the big filter is doing its job. I'm gonna blow this filter out, then install the new air filter, and I'm gonna wipe out the inside of the air filter housing. Give you a look at that. I'm gonna hit that, it's dusty. I'm gonna hit that with 409 and wipe that out off camera. And man, I got all dirty working on. Let's check my blood sugar. I'm hungry. It's about 1 o'clock. 109. Now that's, when I get in the 90s, that's low for me. But I'm ready to eat. Okay, let's continue. Inner filter is very clean. I should say that the inside of the air filter is clean. Now I'll put the inside or inner air filter on, which was clean. We know that. That's a friction fit. And that's on. New air filter. And again, I'll give you a look. New versus old. New, old, but you can tell. A lot of dust in here. I'm gonna shut the camera off so I can clean the air filter cap. So this is not a how-to video. I'm not a professional mechanic. This is just me going through what I do to try to maintain my equipment. I cleaned the cap both inside and out, and it was dirty, and now it's very clean. I like to use 409. And I also took off this rubber, I call it a snorkel. I don't know, not sure what the official name is. I took this off and cleaned it because that was dirty. Might be harder to get back on. So that's clean. So the inside of the engine air filter housing is clean. And I'll clean the outside. I'm going to degrease the whole engine after I get done with the oil change. I'll wash it up and clean it. So let's put this housing on. This was faced inside the engine. And again, here's a clamp that I have to get around the blind side, but I tipped up. I'm going to tip up this housing. Reach around. Wow, this is much easier. Hope the camera's on. This is much easier. So the end cap is on, and the cradle it sits in is dirty. I gotta clean that. If you can see this, this cradle is dirty. I wanna wipe that. See that cradle? I wanna wipe that out with 409. Okay, I cleaned the cradle out. I cleaned out an air intake off the air filter, and I'm gonna tuck it back in. And it's plugged into that air intake. Now I have to put this strap on. Okay, next phase, I'm gonna pull it outside, let it warm up, but my sugar is probably low. And I'm getting mud all over the inside of my leg straddling that tire. What we do for a YouTube video. Let's take my blood again. 102, it dropped a little bit. I need to get something to eat. See you after lunch. Hi, I think you can see me. Now, not a job that I really hate, changing oil. Actually, frankly, changing oil on this is much easier and faster than changing it on a Can-Am ATV, right? So, and I didn't put these on overly tight like they were from the factory. I think they were painted on. So let's drain the oil. My oil pan, I hope you can see it in this camera angle, actually is split into two halves because the drive shaft runs through the bottom of the engine oil pan, maybe up 3.5 inches from the bottom of the pan. The engine's hot and my face is probably too close to this oil, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. Boy, she's flowing out. She was nice and hot. She is really dumping. Let's hope that I won't overfill this oil pan. I'm known to do that. So, I don't know if it was Dean. Boy, Dean, I'm looking at my water separator, and I cleaned it really well. Looks like it's brand new. I don't know if I think it was Dean that you mentioned on your tractor, you actually cleaned the bottom of it. And I have to apologize if this is dirty. I probably should clean the bottom of it, Dean. There's some rough spots on it. Someone mentioned it, one of the people in my comments. I thought it was Dean. But I gotta clean this up. I also bought some touch-up paint. Really have to touch up a couple spots on the tractor, but a lot of spots, maybe 5 or 6 spots on the loader. You know, it was nice having the oil, running the engine and getting the oil hot because it really drained well. And I'm gonna see if I can squeak over and take this plug out while that one drips and get them both. Now this is where Peter gets in trouble trying to rush. And I don't think I spilled one drop of oil outside the pan. You should check your manual. It gives it in liters. You can do the calibration. I think this takes like 5.5 quarts of oil. Before I drain the oil, I remove the dipstick, which is here, and the plug for the oil fill, which is here. So those two are removed. Now I'm going to remove the oil filter, which nothing's going right for me today on the lining these oil filters. And this one's too big. I don't know what I took one out just for this size. I don't know what I did with it. And the hours on the engine are 206 hours. And this was changed September, actually it was a beautiful day. I changed the oil on this. September 21st, 2019. Actually, man, is it that pig mat is really working good. Wow, that is the neatest I've ever changed oil. I hope that's on camera. Guys, remember, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a professional. This isn't a how-to video. This is just what I do. That's all it is. Just what I do. Put some oil on the seal, oil filter seal. I won't put the date on it until I have all the oil in and it's tested. I do that last. I'll do this oil filter, this fuel filter up here, and I'll do the engine oil filter. And man, Everything was tight on this when I first got it. And I do buy John Deere oil and filters. You know, I figure that just like my off-road equipment, if there's ever a failure, the dealer can say, you know what, he did buy oil. The dealer can verify that I purchased the oil and the parts. I always think it's a good backup. You may pay a little more. If in the end, what you're paying additional, in my opinion, is well worth it if you have a good dealer. And I'm not, actually, I don't want you to think I'm over tightening this, because I'm not. It's actually sliding. This is an old oil filter wrench, and it's actually sliding. Okay, and I think that's tight enough. It's actually sliding on the filter. See the oil I'm putting in? What would the comments would have been if that's a Cub Cadet and I just spilled oil? Oh, I'm so ticked. I didn't spill anything all day and I just spilled oil. And I like this technique. She is acceptable to run, I think, at that level. I'll show you where it's at. I bet you she needs another quart. I'm gonna turn her over and let her run for a little bit. And I probably need a half a quart or quart to top it off. I'm terrible at doing this, but let's do it. See if you can see it. That's labeled. Okay, that's done. I put a 6 quarts in all together, and let's get a clean look. 6 quarts. You know, you do all this mechanic work and you're proud of yourself, then I can't label an oil filter. If you can see that, it's just below 5/8 of an inch below the top. I like it. I tend to overfill things and I don't want to overfill it. I'm going to run it for a little bit like that and then add a little oil if it needs it. I want you to watch this. Let's watch this engine turn over. Is that smooth or what? Not that it didn't start that smooth before, but engine runs extremely well. You know, people, Yanmar engines are an excellent engine. Let's clean up. Look at that compact little engine. It's really an engineering marvel. It's very short. It's a 3-cylinder engine, and look at what's compact. This looks like it's in the space shuttle, doesn't it? All the components packed in there. She cleaned up pretty nice. Also cleaned out. If you don't know it, probably know more than I do, but this is essentially the pre-filter to the radiator. All the grass collects there. They sealed this compartment around the radiators. It works pretty good. I'm exhausted. Marauders, thank you for coming back to the channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video with a friend. If you ride motorsports, please wear a helmet for your safety and set an example for others. Next best thing to being outside, and it was a rainy day, gloomy for part of it, then the sun is coming out now, is probably for me being in the garage and working on something and burning calories that's helping my blood sugar. Let's check the blood sugar. 110. 2 hours after I ate lunch, I'll take that. Now I have to see if my wife wants to do something around the house. Maybe cut some ornamental grass down. Won't be using the tractor this year, it's still too wet. Thank you. That machine is a king of my property. I can get rid of a lot of equipment and just keep that, and I can probably get everything I need to get done around the property. Maybe not as easily, but it can do it. And it is a great machine. I did put a coat of wax on it. Marauders, get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. I hope to see you on the trail. Thank you. God bless. I get in it like an old man.